How did Africa become a safari? Talk about how fashion played a role in constructing the primitive African safari subject. It dates back to the first 3 decades of the 20th century, where African and non-Western influences encouraged constructed colonial expositions in America and many European countries, especially France. An exposition is, according to Google, a large display of art or traded goods. I'm going to focus on France because that's where I read up a lot on. France especially was and still is an important fashion hub. These expositions, also known as Les Grandes Expositions, the French in me is coming out. Wait. These expositions sought to justify to French citizens the hefty expense of owning and acquiring colonial possessions like land, resources, and slaves. During the colonial era, Les Grandes Expositions were celebrated in Paris and celebrated the city's dual role as both colonial and cultural capitals, with fashion being a key element in France's national identity. France was a major colonizer of many African countries. In fact, about 26, I believe, are francophone or have French as one of the primary languages. Back then, France's African colonies were prominently showcased in these expositions, often through the reconstructions of mock African towns where they actually brought in colonial subjects to make it more exotic and real. These expositions were international and attracted masses of people from all over the world, from creatives, marketers, designers, and promoters alike, who sought to encounter Africa through this constructed lens. Thus, the image of an exotic Africa ripe for adaptation and refinement was born and reinforced over time through these expositions. Oh my god. France was the height of sophistication and cosmopolitan culture, while the colonies were regarded as primitive and in need of refinement. They were also presented as societies that supplied France raw materials, which were eventually processed, and the final products were in turn sold back to the colonies. Does that sound familiar? The betterment of these colonized subjects or colonies was marked by adopting and embodying a more Western style. You can see a relationship between the cosmopolitan, ever-changing subject and the static, primitive, never-changing colonial subject. Both need the other to exist. Oh my god, oh my god. Wow. For instance, think of the trend of safari style, which is actually a big trend right now. Where did that come from? In the 30s, high fashion magazines would feature editorials shot in French colonies like Senegal or Tunisia or other francophone neighboring regions, where a lady identified as a painter or an explorer would have spent several months in these colonies, and you'd see shots, specific shots, where she is dressed in safari style clothing. So the trench coat and the I was about to say Dora the Explorer hat, maybe not Dora the Explorer, but the Indiana Jones hat. In those same shots, you would see in the background or in the foreground, or you would see the very stereotypical depictions of these African colonial subjects. So maybe they're either naked or they are naked. Safari vibe with the leopards in the background, or the really big tractors, and those vibes, yeah. So you see this juxtaposition of the stylish, civilized European who has ventured into the savage, primitive Africa. And of course, these journeys and ventures were happening. This lifestyle, I would say, was quickly absorbed into high fashion. It really shows you how influential cultural medias like magazine publications have on reflecting current times and current affairs, what's the norm and stuff. But looking back at it, it's like, what was the point of this video? Sis, I don't really know. I just thought that it was cool information that I had come across, and I wanted to share my findings. By the time you're watching this video, I'm a be a year older, and yeah, it's my birthday. And also LAJA will be turning, so 2013, LAJA will be turning 5, or LAJA is 5 years. The fact that this platform has existed for like 5 years, I'm like, honey. So I want to say thank you. Shout out to God, shout out to myself, shout out to my family and everyone that has supported me on this. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, I believe you would enjoy my video on our African prints, really African, which I've linked here. And can I wear African prints if I'm not African? See you next time. Bye, and thank you for 5 years.